This is Danielle Yawowiecka with the BBC News. Hello. Washington says it's deeply concerned by the arrest of an American journalist on spying charges in Russia. The White House said US diplomats were seeking consular access to Evan Gershkovich. Mr. Gershkovich, who works for the Wall Street Journal, was detained by Russia's domestic security service and accused of gathering classified information on the defence industry. Russia's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, claimed Mr. Gershkovich's arrest was not related to his job.
I'm reading a lot of reports in the Western media saying he had accreditation from the Foreign Ministry, therefore he's a journalist. No, this is what he claimed, but what he has been doing in Yekaterinburg is not journalism. I don't know if there are any other cases, but the allegations made by our intelligence services are not related to his journalism. They're related to non-journalistic activity.
4 bank executives who helped a close associate of President Putin move millions of dollars through a Swiss branch of a Russian bank have been found guilty of a lack of due diligence. The court in Switzerland issued fines to the unnamed bankers who worked for Gazprom Bank. They say they will appeal. The head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has warned that China's ruling Communist Party intends to change the international order systemically to put China at its centre. Danny Eberhard reports.
Ursula von der Leyen is heading to China next week, accompanied by President Macron of France. This speech set out the EU's stall regarding what Ms von der Leyen called the intricate relationship that binds the two powers, one she acknowledged had become more difficult recently. China, she said, was a partner on issues such as climate change and the bulk of trade, but also an increasingly assertive strategic rival. Her message was not to disengage, but to be clear-eyed about challenges and mitigate them with diplomacy and laws.
Brazil's far-right former president Jair Bolsonaro has returned to his home country after 3 months of self-imposed exile in the United States. Supporters draped in Brazil flags met his plane when it landed in the capital, Brasilia. Loyalists said he would re-galvanise the opposition against President Lula da Silva, who defeated him in October's general election. Camila Motto in Sao Paulo says a number of court cases have been brought against Mr. Bolsonaro.
There are 16 lawsuits against him in the Brazilian Superior Electoral Court, and one of them investigates into the January 8th attacks in Brasilia. Thousands of his supporters stormed government buildings, but besides that, some of the probes also investigate him spreading disinformation and casting doubts on Brazil's electoral system in the 2022 elections.
BBC World News. 3 members of a cultural society in Bahrain that advocates open discussion about Islamic issues have been sentenced to 1 year in prison. The 3 were prosecuted under a law that criminalises any expression that ridicules any of Bahrain's recognised religious texts. The sentence and a fine is suspended pending appeal. The Spanish Parliament has approved government-proposed pension reforms under which high earners and employers will pay increased contributions to support the country's 11 million pensioners. The left-wing coalition says the changes backed by the unions provide stability. The Conservative opposition are against the reforms and warn of increased unemployment. The head of the International Olympic Committee has hit back at criticism from some European governments of its decision to recommend that athletes from Russia and Belarus be allowed to return to international competition. On Tuesday, the IOC said individual Russian and Belarusian athletes could compete as neutral competitors if they weren't connected to the military and hadn't endorsed the war in Ukraine. Alex Capstick reports.
The International Olympic Committee's plans for the return of athletes from Russia and Belarus have angered some European nations, but the IOC president Thomas Bach described their criticism as deplorable and attacked them for having double standards. Over the last 48 hours, politicians, including those from Ukraine, the Czech Republic and Poland, have expressed concern over the inclusion of athletes from the 2 countries. Last month, a group of more than 30 nations, including Great Britain, the USA, France and Germany, pledged support for Russia and Belarus to remain banned. A defiant Mr. Bach said an overwhelming majority within the Olympic movement backed the recommendations.
A rare first-generation iPhone in its original packaging is going up for auction shortly, with bids kicking off at $32,000. The list price when the device launched in 2007 was just $599. And that's the latest BBC World News.